Oh no.
Get wrecked, fool.
That was awesome. Love the way the environment
Oh,
pushes
I
it.
just fell through. I
Nice.
fell through.
You
Welcome back,
deserved it.
everybody, to this episode of Yeetcast. Today, we watch two idiots try to get to the Dido discussion room. Welcome back, Guardians, to another Dream Team video. I am your humble host, Meesum777, and welcome to Yeetcast number 10. Woohoo! That's 10. That's 2 digits of worth of Yeetcast. Isn't that cool? I am joined here today with our usual guest, Cranky Crab.
Good evening.
And we have a new guest from the Dream Team. He's East Coast, so he normally doesn't get to join us here, but he's jet-lagged, and he decided, hey, fuck it. Stellar Nemesis.
Hello.
Also known as Dr. Shoulder Charge.
Dr. Shoulder Charge, yes. He's currently on his hunter right now, which makes me sad. But anyway, gentlemen, we've got a lot to cover today. We're going to try to get through this as quickly as we can, because like Cranky said before we started this thing, we don't need to be here all night. So let's start here with point number 1. We'll just kind of go through this as we go. We supposedly, now obviously anytime we have something like a leak, we have to take it with a grain of salt, right? But I mean, we're all pretty close to the season, so it's not a super big deal. This will be coming out, like, I think, one day before the Bungie stream. Maybe it'll come right after. But anyway, we'll discuss it anyway. Maybe this information won't be super useful when we get there. But the name of the next season. We've been given the name of the next season, apparently.
Oh,
Let me read
spoiler.
this. Yeah, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Apparently, the next season's name was revealed. Apparently, there was a glitch. It appeared as a notification when I went to Orbit. I saw it in Portuguese, and someone posted it here, and the name was in Spanish. I'm not going to attempt to read the Portuguese or the Spanish, but the translation is Season of the Arrival. Ooh, works beautifully with the pyramid ships, right? So,
Oh.
yeah, see?
Oh, I thought it was something sexual.
You
Damn it,
always do.
So, yeah, Season of the Arrival is presumably, assuming this leak is accurate, I mean, it was something that happened in-game, right? Assuming this person isn't lying to us on Reddit. And why would anybody ever lie on the internet? Just to throw this guy's name under the bus in case this turns out to be false, his name is Sky Teddy. So, rep Sky Teddy.
Oh, that guy sounds perfectly reliable.
This, in case that ends up being false, go throw stones and tomatoes at him. But anyway, so yeah, Season of the Arrival. So that does obviously lead us to believe that the pyramid ships are going to be either arriving on that season or at the very end of that season, right? Kind of the same thing that happened with this season was the Almighty. Blowing the Almighty up out of the sky, which we will use that as a beautiful segue. And this was like the Season of the Worthy, and the whole thing was about the Almighty and all this other stuff, right? So, my guess, I'd like to get your guys' opinion on this. My guess is that we'll see the pyramid ships arrive, quote unquote, at the end of the season. That would space it perfectly for the September drop, right when everything, the big September reveal, the fall reveal when they all release the cool stuff, right? I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that real quick.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get it any sooner than that.
Now, this is how we're going to segue this. I think they're going to do the same thing that they did with our next topic, which was Destiny's first attempt at a live event. I think the Arrival will be another live event. We'll start with Cranky. What do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't considered it before that, but yeah, we were speculating today as to whether this would be a regular thing, these live events, if this was their first shot at it. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And Stellar, your thoughts?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of games these days are doing live events, and it seems like the fad, so why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we got Fortnite to kind of popularize the idea, right? So it just makes sense that, Bungie tries to get in on this as well as they can, right? So,
and they've already been doing like seasons with the season pass for a couple, like buying the season pass if you want to,
right?
To get which is also kind of based on Fortnite.
And if we can talk about this for a second, Bungie, or I should say Destiny, not necessarily Bungie, but Destiny received more live viewers on Twitch than almost everything else on Twitch. It was the first time I've ever seen Destiny have that many viewers. I think the number I heard was 147,000, which was really good for that time of the day.
Over 9,000.
It's way over 9,000. To put that into perspective, when I checked on it the other night at peak gaming hours, it was around 50,000 whereas Warzone was hitting around 150,000. So, yeah, that's really good for Destiny to receive that much. Did anybody end up picking up the game from it? Who knows? But, I mean, it's one of those things where I think Bungie, even if it was a bit of a hot mess, which we're going to get into.
That spewed all over the sky?
Yeah. that somebody posted, let me find the Reddit post while we talk about this, but somebody posted the pictures like a essentially like a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a PowerPoint presentation, but a slideshow. Somebody presented like a slideshow of photos of everything happening to the Almighty, and the top comment on that Reddit post was, if you look at each of these pictures for 20 minutes, it looks exactly like it'll give you the experience of what it was actually like while you were there. I was like, damn. Anyway, but that does lead us into our next topic here, which post made by Reddit user Ultraplay Gaming, which is his post here is, I think, pretty well thought out, or at least a good idea to throw onto the table. Post title: my opinion, Bungie actually dipping their toes in the water and starting to really try doing things is a great direction to take. What happened today, despite having flaws, was a good stepping stone and provides a learning experience. One can hope that this new secret season also does the same. And he kind of talks about how it was, generally good for Bungie to kind of try new stuff like this. I'm not going to go into the full details. And the general comments seem to be in agreement with it as well. They talked about time management and everything like that. Some people talked about not feeling rewarded for having to slog through the hour and a half that it took for the thing to actually crash. But I agree. I think in general, like, Bungie moving more towards live events is a great idea. I think Destiny, of all games, like, this game makes sense to do live events. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, this is supposed to be like an MMO RPG, ever-evolving world, blah, 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 that we always hear all the time, right? So, for me personally, Destiny seems like the perfect platform to actually try to execute upon that idea. And like the Redditor mentioned, despite it not being executed perfectly, I think it's a good step in the right direction. The fact that we'd kind of all been leading up to this point as well, we've been doing the Seraph Towers, grinding that out and doing all the other stuff, and have it lead to this, right? Again, that had its flaws, but I think it was pretty cool. Stellar, you were there. I wasn't there. I was watching it on Twitch, and I was having connection issues. So what was it like for you who actually was on the tower? Was it something you would do again if it was maybe a shorter time frame? What would you say would be something?
If it was a shorter time, like, the last 5 minutes of it were pretty cool. Like, if it was just the last 5 minutes of it, I'd be down again, no doubt. But the fact that there was this, like, hour beforehand of literally just staring at 3 different pictures that just slowly merged from one to the other was kind of annoying. But the last 5 minutes was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Cranky, were you there at the tower? Did you get to see the
I came in just as it was exploding, so I got to see it hurl into the mountains.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. And it actually pushed you guys back, didn't it? That was kind of
neat. There was a shock. The shockwave from the impact actually knocked all the Guardians back a couple of feet, and it gave you that sound effect, the ear ringing effect
ringing.
after. Yeah, it gave the ringing effect.
Did anybody confirm or see if any debris hit the tower? I mean, I know there's the damaged area, but did we see that, or was it just now you see it, now you don't, kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think what actually ended up happening there, because while I was watching it, I did get to see that part of it, which was cool. I would love to have been there to actually get my feet on the ground, but the screen went white for a period of time, and my guess is that that's when it transitioned. It would have been Big Brain. You know what would have been Big Brain is if somebody was standing on that point on the tower to see what happened.
Because you would know ahead of time to stand on that point.
No, actually, legitimately, there was a leak. There was a leak about Eververse getting dumped
on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, we knew about that. Yeah, we knew about that.
It would have been cool if you had seen debris actually hit the tower. Maybe if a Guardian got snagged by it, it would kill you.
Yeah, I think that would have been
something
neat,
like that would have been cool. But
yeah. So let me talk about something else here. Ideas for the next live event. I think it would be really neat to have a live event where like talking about presumably this next season we get the arrival, right? The pyramid ships that come down. I think it would be cool to have us like wait on like the moon and have like a whole bunch of guardians sitting there underneath where this thing's gonna land down, just like licking their lips and loading their guns, just like, oh, we're gonna fight some freaking aliens, you know? Like, I think a combat live event would be freaking amazing. Like in a patrol space, I think that would be so cool to see Guardians from all across the planet, like in a line, like the British and the Americans in the, you know, the War for Independence, like just waiting, just like, oh, come on, give me something to shoot, right? Everybody sitting there waiting for the thing to touch down. And then as soon as that those door opens, just lead starts flying everywhere. That
yeah,
would
I could
be,
see something cool like that. The
that would
Vex
be
offensive
amazing.
was kind of like that on the moon. I liked how when the Vex offensive thing happened, you could look up through the portal and like see into that other side of the portal. You know what I mean? Like I forget what the event was called, but that sort of thing would be kind of cool. Some kind of public event. I think. Well, I won't speculate. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We're in speculation territory right now, so.
So you know, I don't follow the lore closely, but based on what I think I've heard, the Traveler. This is kind of a pattern, right? The Traveler shows up, does its thing. The pyramid ships chase it. It says deuces. Like maybe we end up in a spot here where we lose our light again. You know, there's always that element to the game where they try to, you know, knock you down a few notches so you can climb back up.
I
and go
really
through that.
don't want to do that walking at like 1 yard an hour scene back on
from
like.
Red
Oh,
Alert.
yeah, that sucked. Yeah, that was terrible.
I really don't want to go through that again, please.
Walking
But
simulator.
maybe there's a period of time where we lose the light and we don't have those superpowers, and maybe we get like darkness. You know,
That's what they've
abilities
talked about. That's what they've
available.
speculated. Apparently,
Yeah.
apparently, the leaks say that they were going to get dark subclasses. I'd imagine that would be the fall release if we're going to get something like that. But let me throw another idea your way. This was one I mentioned in the Discord. I literally had a dream about this, so imagine how cool that was for me to actually live this crap. But where you actually board the pyramid ships and then you lose your light, like you can't heal, you can't use your abilities, and then like you slowly get it back as you start to clear rooms, like a roguelike. So, you know, you enter into a room, you have basically just a pistol, clear stuff out, get stuff, unlock abilities, unlock your stuff, get your, you know, everything starts to come back slowly until you're trying to, like, kill bosses and all this other stuff. I know Bungie would never be as bold as to do something like that, but let me put it this way. If we had more stuff in PvE that was like that, and I'm sure the darkness and talking about losing your light would be a perfect excuse to do it, I would be thrilled to give that a try. The problem with PvE, we've talked about this before for me personally. Like, I know there's other PvE players out there who watch and who enjoy PvE, and power to you. But is that it lacks any true challenge to it. It's just mostly just bullet sponges, right? You know, it's just mostly just light level versus bullet sponge. You know, how much ammo can you punch into the thing? Raids are a little bit different. They require some use of the mechanics, but nothing is really like pushing you as an individual to perform extremely well. You know what I mean? But anyway, we could talk about that for a minute. So anyway, any closing thoughts on anything like that for live events for Destiny, the season of the arrival, anything on that?
I mean, that's cool. But
They're
I
not
don't know.
lasers.
They're not lasers. This guy over here screaming at our Twitch viewers saying, "Oh, the lasers are about to hit the Almighty." This guy with his PhD in physics saying they're not lasers. Checks his glasses. Anywho. So that's it. No other closing thoughts that were good?
Good.
All right, awesome. So, we had the latest TWAB that was dropped on us, and there's a bunch of different stuff which we are not going to go over. There's plenty of channels who can go over the TWAB for you, or you can look it up yourself. I'll link it in the description down below if you're looking for it. But Bungie replied 17 times to people's comments, and we are going to rapid fire our way through these as best we can because we want to go kill some stuff. But we do want to kind of cover some of this. But this is interesting because if you were paying attention for our last Yeetcast, we had Yeetcast talking about Bungie being silent, Bungie not talking about anything. You know, there's just nothing that's been happening, right? And then this one is like the polar opposite. This is the most replies I have ever seen Bungie reply to on a post before. Like, the most I've ever seen was 10, and that was a while ago on something related to trials. It's just some feedback, and there's a lot of small stuff here and there. But there's some relatively meaty stuff in here, one of which, a huge change to a very popular Titan exotic. I'm sure you don't know what it is. It was just kind of offhandedly mentioned as getting a pretty hefty nerf. So we're going to go through all of this here. I'm going to kind of speed read through this here. So talked about primarily the subject matter that the Redditor brought up was talked about the drop rates for exotics in the raid have been increased to give people a better shot at them. And the Redditor said, still no love for Tarrabah drop rates. And DMG04 replied, Tarrabah has had some bad luck. Tarrabah had some bad luck protection. This change is getting the others up to par. I can dig into the exacts. So another person asked about, kind of digging further into that, said, question, will the 20 clears thing for the Tarrabah be retroactive, or will the update put everyone at 10% chance of regardless for past completion? So essentially Tarrabah got moved into the loot pool. From what I'm understanding, I'll go double check that. And DMG's reply was, no idea. I would expect this not to count previous completions. Will ask when I can. And that's pretty much the gist of it. The interesting thing with this is that we see a lot more positivity out of the Bungie or out of the Destiny community on these posts. To be fair, they're not really replying to anything in particular, but like just with the one that the Yeetcast that got really popular, the first Bungie Replied post, the general like score, and again, score isn't fantastic to go off, but it does give us somewhat of an idea, was extremely negative. These are all relatively positive. They're all like 300 plus, whereas the other ones were like 300 minus. Obviously, they're saying stuff that people want to hear, but it is interesting that we're seeing a different tone in the community. And that is something I do want to bring up here, and I want to kind of throw this idea your direction, is the Bungie hype cycle. We seem to always go through it. The season starts, people are excited, people think everything's great. Halfway through the season, people say it's the worst season that they've ever had, it's terrible, there's this, that, and the other problem, blah, 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 blah. Season starts to get to a close, people are saying they're going to leave the game. New trailers announce, people say this game is amazing, the cycle starts all over again, right? And I want to know what you guys have to say about that. I know that's kind of like human nature, but I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
It's the only thing keeping Destiny 2 in business.
Fair point, yeah.
What's that? Just the hype? The hype cycle keeps it?
The hype cycle and the season cycle.
Well, and I'd say lack of competition in this genre.
Lack of competition in this genre. But,
there's FPS.
Those two things combined, if they lost either one of those two, I
see what you're saying. So you're saying that the lulls in the action are important for the game. So you're saying like the hate is also important for the cycle of the game, for the health of the game?
Well, I'm like the rejuvenation is, I guess it is kind of like, because people peter out by the end of the season and they're just completely uninterested with Destiny, and then something new pops up. And so they go back into it. Like, they're nostalgic by the time that they go back into it, and there's all this new content.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point. So, here, let me hit you with something else here. This is interesting. I've never seen DMG take such a aggressive stance and get praised so highly for it. So, I can only imagine what this person said by the DMG reply, because this person got his account and his comment deleted. So, like,
whoa,
damn. So something happened to this poor dude. He has a negatives 34 on his post.
Ban hammer.
Yeah, he got banned for something. So here was DMG's reply. This week at Bungie, in all bold letters, support Black Lives Matter, support the LGBTQIA plus community. We have an announced next week. We have a new season next week. We have patch notes preview covering some important changes that y'all have been asking about. We have info on controller mapping, which will help bring more accessibility to the game and kick off some ideas in your own head on how you'd like to customize your experience starting next Tuesday. Read the player support report to know what to get done before the end of the season, what's going to be fixed, what new bugs we have for you to watch out for. Check out for a movie of the week for 50 Guardians Strong. Tune in next week for another week at Bungie. There's your TLDR. and DMG Replied almost got 1,000 upvotes for that. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing the guy gave like this is too long. I'm a spoiled internet brat and I don't want to read something along those lines. You know, obviously I'm being a bit tongue in cheek here, right? But I don't know. But like, damn, the dude got almightied. So I mean that is interesting. Thoughts? I don't know if there's anything there.
Black Lives Matter.
All right. Moving forward here. So, a Redditor made comment about the Trials tokens. He quoted the TWAB and said, Trial tokens are no longer awarded from match completions. Tokens are now granted specifically through wins and bounties. And then his specific comment or question was, isn't this going to further reduce the Trials population and not to mention deter people from farming early games? And not to mention not deter, so double negative.
No, I have something to say.
On that?
No, I have something to say. I don't play Destiny because I want to engage in all the politics of the day. And I get that Bungie and the folks at Bungie are trying to do what they feel is right. And the thing is, most people think they're right on most issues. And I think that Bungie should tread pretty goddamn carefully if they want to start talking about political issues. People don't come to this video game because they want people's political opinions, one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. I think I agree with that too. It's just a matter of like, you know, like you said, like people don't come here for the politics; they come here to play the games. And like you said, it's
and that's why the guy got deleted. The guy said something that a lot of people. I have no idea what the guy said. He could have said something awfully shitty, and he could have very well earned that ban. He could have also said something that's just fucking unpopular, because that's a problem these days, and got banned.
Yeah, I mean,
and if we didn't bring it up, then nobody has to be in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do wonder what the guy said. I don't think there's any way to get that information back, but maybe it's probably a mod won't reach out to me or anything. But yeah, politics, and anytime you get involved in politics and entertainment, you're going to have issues, right? Because I mean,
we've had enough of it. We've had enough of it. Everybody's had enough of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't
take a neutral position, or take a neutral position, or don't get involved at all. I don't need Bungie or True Vanguard or anybody else giving me their opinion on that stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's one of those things where it's like, put it this way, it's like if you went to a McDonald's and it had like a support Black Lives Matter wrapper on it, it's like, why? You're just trying to make good press. That's the thing I think that annoys me, is that I think people are trying to get good press out of it. I'm sure Bungie has good intentions, right? But
I'm sure they do too.
I think there's a lot of companies jumping on the bandwagon just so they can have good PR, and I think that's
I think that it's I think issues can be complicated. Issues are usually complicated, and when you try to simplify them, you're isolating somebody. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to get self-righteous and think that you're okay isolating certain people, but let's just be blunt. We're sitting in a world that's about 50-50 on opinions. You're insulting and shitting on 50% of people if you're not careful, and I don't think we should do that to anybody.
Yeah. Estella, do you have anything you want to add to any of this?
No.
He's like, not now, I don't.
Yeah, it is a bit of a hot topic, and admittedly it's a bit of a hot topic. And
let me just try not to fall through this ice that I'm walking on.
Yeah. Let me say this right now. People who are already getting up in arms in the comment section down below, like, be respectful, okay?
We're trying to be apolitical here.
Yeah, we're trying to be apolitical.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to say here. Is I don't think it's anything political one way or the other, but be respectful in the comment section. Respect other people's opinions. I will fucking delete your opinion if you start getting rude. If you start insulting either other people in the comments or you start insulting us, I will delete your comment. It's not like
Krabs Titan is ugly.
It's a fact. That's not an insult. That's a fact.
But be polite. Be well thought out. Have a civil discussion. If you want to get political with it, that's fine. I mean, it's the internet. I mean, political discussions.
You can't really stop that.
Yeah, you can't really stop that. But
you can choose whether to engage or not, and that's my point.
Yeah, exactly. And we're trying to be taking this from as a neutral position as we can. The point we're trying to get across here is that we don't play Destiny for politics. We play Destiny to shoot aliens in the face, right? Anyway, let's move on before this gets too hot a topic. Let's roll on. So what we were talking about beforehand was trials tokens, and the person's specific worry was that the farming of lower end tokens would still be a problem, like people still farming lower end tokens. And this is DMG's reply. DMG quoted the TWAB and said, tokens are now granted specifically through wins and bounties. Rebalancing tokens overall hopefully will push more Ws for the lower brackets, as the higher skilled players will be going for the flawless card instead of resetting at 3 wins. Weekly bounty will also bring incentive to gameplay. Snag bounties get your weekly done, unlock the engram, etc. We'll be watching how the changes land, more planned for fall. So essentially just to say, I disagree, because it's going to be more focused on like completion of tasks rather than completion of like 3 wins or something. You know, encouraging people who just to get into the game, just to try it, right? Just to get their trial stuff, to get in, get out, and, you know, go on with what they're doing. And then the people who are actually going for flawless, they don't really care about the stuff happening for the bounties. They're going to do the bounties and, you know, early in the card maybe, and then push on, and they're just going to go for flawless. So I think that's a good point. I like the changes coming to trials. By the way, I mentioned that the fact that this is one of the few times that I like that it's going to a bounty system. I think that's a good way to go about it, because I think that we've got a problem with people farming lower end of the tokens, or lower end of the cards for tokens.
Often the first game is like one of the sweatiest games. Then you get to the second, you get past the first win, and the second win's like much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people are farming that lower end.
Because people are farming.
Yep.
Anything to get rid of that farming.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so this is talking about the posts. This is, man, I don't think we're going to be able to avoid this this hot mess of political stuff, but let's...
Is it continue through the whole thing?
It's continued. Let's wade carefully into this.
Is that why they got 17 responses? Because it's mostly that? Or
Might
what?
be. Yeah, we're going to dig into this here. So somebody replied with, and this guy got a pretty negative response, but no bans or anything. After 2 weeks of ignoring subreddit lol, and this is reply to DMG saying we're listening. The person replied, after 2 weeks of ignoring the subreddit lol, and then he put an edit. Come on, Bungie Defense Squad, let's keep the tears coming, because he has an almost negative 300, near negative 300. DMG replied, real talk, a lack of replies isn't an act of ignoring posts. Sometimes we can give concrete info and lengthy replies, which feels great. Other times we don't have much to say. I know a lot of you greatly enjoy the opportunity to meme on a thanks for the post, we'll pass it along reply. Sometimes I poke fun at that too. I just wasn't taking the time to hit those. Last 2 weeks, between personal illness and some other projects, I didn't take much time to reply to threads. Just spent time talking to with devs about specific feedback points, helping folks to reprioritize some issues and focusing on some upcoming content. We'll make sure to reply more often, but please don't take a lack of replies as us ignoring y'all. This is kind of what we talked about in the last Yeetcast, right? It was that it's not that they're not replying because they're trying to be jerks, it's that they're busy, right? They've got other stuff they're doing, and they're working on stuff. I mean, he mentioned specifically a personal illness. And you gotta remember, like, it's not that all Bungie has a Reddit account that they're actively getting on this for. There's like 1 or 2 community managers who primarily will reply to posts, and a few people here and there, the engineers and developers and so forth, who occasionally get on, but that's not their job. Like, they're doing other things. They're working, right? So, I mean, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about, right? Like, they were just, like, from last Yeetcast, is like, they were just busy. That's why we didn't hear anything from them. So, talking about a different topic now. Sounds like it's almost time to log in on my brother's account and remap a few random buttons. Let's be bad guys. And DMG replied, my sibling remapped my controller, then my dog sat on it, and my characters are gone. The remapping is interesting. We can talk about remapping. Obviously, this has huge benefits for accessibility. Who was it that we used to know? Was it the Ram Ares Cranky that had disabilities in his hand? Remember him?
You know, that might be accurate. I forget.
I think it was the Ram. But yeah, like the ability to custom map controllers is huge. We don't take advantage of it. I'm not going to take advantage. I'm perfectly happy with my controller setup, but there are people on the spectrum of they have no disabilities who would just like to change some things, right? Maybe just have some fun with it, right? Hell, we could even do a drunk Destiny thing where we randomly remap our controller.
Oh,
right?
God.
That's
Please,
always
no.
that sounds like fun. Come on. Comment section, help me out. Let's make a video. Come on, somebody make a post about it. Come on, let's get some uploads on it. But like seriously, like there are some people who have difficulty like pressing R1 or something to aim or to shoot or whatever, right? So I think that's cool.
So,
I
like,
think
I have a cousin who has like due to a stroke at birth, has like 0 dexterity in his right hand. Like,
so remapping it to be more left-handed, right?
Yeah,
Something like that. But yeah. I mean, this is only positive. The only thing I can see having problems is if it causes some kind of like game-breaking bug where you have a certain remapping of a certain controller and it just like goes buck wild on you and like you can't control it, you can't do anything. They said that it doesn't affect the UI right now, which is good because that means that you still can have some control over the game. But like that's the only thing I can foreseeably come up as a negative for this. But other than that, like we should have had this from the start. Let's be realistic. I
want to map jump and shoot to the same button, so every time I'm hopping and shooting.
Okay, Captain Mountaintop.
Yeah, someone. I think it was Crota in our group. What's his name? Flexify nowadays. Anyway.
Oh, I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, made comment that he wants to map everything to jump with it as well, so that he can Titan skate everywhere and do everything at the same time. But yeah. Anywho, but yeah, this is only positive. So I mean, that's just a light touch on that. So let's go ahead and roll forward. Let's see here. This is talking about a bug. Polaris Lance finally fixed after 2 seasons. Let's go! DMG replied, it was an annoyingly deep bug. The team was excited to get this one out. We sometimes forget about that too. To touch on this super fast, but yeah, Polaris Lance apparently had a bug. I don't own it. I don't use it. I don't know anybody that uses it. But nevertheless, sometimes bugs are hard to get out. I mean, Stellar, you and I are both programmers. Sometimes bugs can be ridiculously difficult to get out.
I spent like 2 days with this one stupid numeric bug where I just had to change something to the 3rd power to something times something times something. And like,
it's the same thing, but just, yeah.
It's the same thing mathematically, algebraically, but in code it's different.
Yeah, the bugs can be difficult to deal with, and sometimes we forget about that when we come across a bug like Telesto or something, where we don't know how deeply rooted that bug may be. So give Bungie some grace sometimes if you get a bug. Like, sometimes they know, they're completely aware of it, they don't know how to fix it. Like, they're doing their best to fix it. So, that's just something to touch on there. Cranky, you got anything you want to say to that?
No, sounds good.
All right, moving forward. Somebody replied to that post and said, glad to hear it's being fixed nonetheless. It's good to know that the team still works on fixing on things that even aren't at the forefront of problems. Polaris Lance has been a favorite of mine and can't wait to bust it back out. DMG replied to that and said, at a time, this bug was slated for fall after being pushed from a few releases, lucked out in being able to push it up. So it's interesting. So that does seem to let us know that there's essentially a log of things that Bungie keeps in terms of things they plan on fixing, patching, etc. And they prioritize what they work on. So I think that's part of the reason why usage dictates a lot of how they buff and nerf stuff, right? That's kind of a little bit of an insight because they have a list of however much they can hit at one time, and usage might be a bit more. I would love to see more smaller hot fixes happen here and there. Maybe hire more people. I don't know, Bungie. I can do some game design.
We know a couple people.
I don't know a couple people, but
but like that makes complete sense. Like, I don't know if you've ever worked on like a coding project with multiple people. So the biggest the biggest group I've done this with is like maybe 20 people. Wow. But like we've got a GitHub for a simulation code for my work, and there's like an issues page, and there's someone's job that just like triages and like puts labels on each issue that comes into the GitHub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're doing a Scrum thing right now. I know that doesn't mean a whole lot to unless the people who are software engineers with a group of 7 people for a senior project. And yeah, I can completely see something like that being the way that they do things, right? Anyway, let's see here. I think this is talking some more about some specifics. Let's see, the drop rates. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is something I did not read in the TWAB, which is good to bring up now. I'll just read just DMG's reply. Checking with the team, Tarrabah will follow the same rules as other exotics. It starts at 10%, builds to 50% over 20 clears, which means that the more raids you do, the better your chances of getting an exotic are from that raid. So, like, you want 1,000 voices, keep doing the raid, you'll get a better and better and better and better and better chance of getting it every single time. Capping out apparently at 50 at 20 clears. So, that's cool. I think that's really neat. I think that's a way that it should be done for this type of thing.
Yeah, long overdue.
Yeah, long overdue. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone remember trying to get the Mythic class? Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
No, I got it like first try.
Hey, fuck you.
Somebody asked, are you able to confirm that this is retroactive, or will 20 clears, they're talking about the 20 clears of the raid, or 20 clears from when the patch goes live? As someone who's still chasing Anarchy after 28 clears, I'm hoping it's the former, i.e. it being, retroactive. Cosmo himself replied, we looked into making it retroactive but couldn't make it happen. Sorry about that. Knew it would be kind of a bummer, but still felt the changes were worth making you progress going forward. So not gonna be retroactive. I'm okay with that. I don't do raids anyway, but I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, it's a change going forward. You had the fair chances everybody else had. So
it's an important change to do. I mean, I wouldn't not do it because of that.
Right.
But yeah, sure, it would have been great if they could have done that for people.
Not being able to implement retroactively is not a reason to not implement it, if that makes sense. They should definitely implement it even though they can't make it retroactive.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. So this is the big one. Are you guys ready? Because I'm excited. You can hear it in my voice. I am so happy. This happened in the comment section of the Reddit, not in the actual TWAB itself. DMG. Shit! I forgot one of the patch notes previews. Cosmo, you want to tell them about the minor changes to Antaeus the team has cooked up? Cosmo replied, "This is why I never take time off. Changes to the Antaeus Ward didn't make it in the patch for next week, but are currently scheduled to come out the following week. Removed bonus super energy when reflecting shots. Added a 1.5 second of sprinting before the exotic perk can be triggered by a slide. We may look at exotic more in the future." I'm sure he meant this exotic more in the future. But we wanted to get this change out for Season 11 and gather data feedback on how it affects the sandbox. So, yeah, Antaeus Wards got a nerf. Praise Bungie. Because holy cow, in PvP did it need a nerf. Holy cow, was it just on every Titan. Like, if you weren't running Antaeus Wards, people were questioning what you were doing.
It was worse. I think it's like almost worse than One-Eyed Mask.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
In terms of how to deal with it. Like, you can't deal with it. You can't deal with it. There's
you can
no
do zero damage.
Yeah, there's no counterplay to it. If they've spaced it properly, you're just dead. There's nothing you can do about it. Anyway,
yeah.
This is exactly what I was hoping would happen, was that it had the same kind of wind up that Shoulder Charge did. Because the problem, the initial slide in is annoying, right? That's annoying, right? But it's the fact that they can slide in and then slide again and then slide again and then slide again while they're in the middle of the engagement and reflect half of the damage that's coming at them. The amount of times that I dodged the first dude's shot, right? Because I saw him slide in and I pulled away and dodged it, and he just kind of keeps like sliding towards me, and I can't seem to damage him because it's always on the slide. Super annoying. And the fact that he doesn't get super energy now is great, because the Antaeus Wards beforehand were already okay, just nobody used them in my opinion. And the fact that it was just made you full invincible, I personally would like to see it that the shield is only affected in the front, but I understand, again, talking about bugs and being difficult to work with and code and so forth, that might not be possible. But anyway, I think the point still stands there. So thank the Lord.
I wish beam weapons went through it.
Yeah, I think it should obey the same laws that the Middle Tree Arc Strider does, with like Chaos Reach being able to damage it and such, but it just gives you invincibility. But, oh well. So, it's got nerfed. I think it's a fair nerf.
I once used Antaeus Wards to know you a Wardcliff.
Jesus Christ.
I took like almost zero damage, and I killed the guy that fired the Wardcliff.
Wardcliff is so awful that actually makes me happy.
Jeez. Okay, but yeah.
Someone fires Wardcliff on the map somewhere. Entire team wipe.
Let's see here. Only one post reply. I know we said there's going to be 17, but a lot of this has been kind of like confirming or like reiterating some stuff that we've already talked about. Somebody replied to that post we just talked about. I pictured you two snickering to yourselves, sitting next to each other in the studio as you alley-ooped each other over on this comment train because their comment was right on top of one another. Then I got sad because Voldemort means it didn't happen that way. Did you miss each other? And Cosmo said yes. So anyway, but that's about everything here. We had to talk about a lot to wrap up, and again, we had like 17 Bungie replies, and you know, most of them were just kind of reiterating or reconfirming or help clarifying a few things that we've already kind of discussed here. But I mean, all in all, I'm like I said, it's the Bungie hype cycle. I'm excited for the next season because the stuff that they're changing. The fact, I'll be honest, if Antaeus didn't get a nerf, I might not have played Destiny this next season. I might not have played Trials. I might not have played Crucible. It would have been a rough season because it's just one of those things where it's more of a principle thing. It's like if Bungie doesn't take the time to nerf something that's very clearly a problem in the meta for PvP right now, I don't think I want to be part of the meta. You know what I mean? But the fact that they took the time to... Yeah, the fact they took the time to nerf it. I mean, we've talked about all this other stuff that's happening. Obviously, the hype cycle with the Drifter and Eris Morn going to Europa. Like, all this stuff is cool. We saw the Pyramid Ships as its own cutscene. So, I don't know. I'm excited for what's coming up here, of course. I'm a long-term Destiny fan, and I think I will be for a while. The fact that the sunsetting's still going to happen it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to see how that plays out. We talked about a little bit of the politics in there, which we won't rehash again. But anyway, you guys have any closing thoughts to anything we've talked about thus far? Anything Bungie has said thus far? Starting with maybe Stellar?
Let's see. I don't know. Antaeus, I'm glad to see that nerf on Antaeus. Even though we didn't talk about it, I still wish, armor sunsetting is stupid.
Yeah,
even though we didn't talk about it at all today.
To death, though. Yeah. If we can talk about something related to armor and exotics, I really wish they would rework some of the weaker exotics that exist in the game. There's a lot of exotics.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
That just don't have a place in the game right now. Like they just never are going to see use. Like the Apotheosis Veil. The Aeon exotics, like
I just got an Aeon Swift from Zur today from the whatever engram.
Yeah,
nice stat roll of 68. Never will use it, but I'm gonna hold on to it because it's a 68 stat roll.
Yeah, that's just sad. It's just rough. Anyway, Cranky, any thoughts?
No. I mean, mostly positive stuff coming out of Bungie. You're right. It's always up and down. The game's good enough that despite problems and flaws, we still play it, But again, I think, like Stellar touched on earlier, part of that, Bungie has a corner on this market right now. Nobody makes a Halo-type shooter. Everything is a Call of Duty-type shooter. If that ever changes, if Anthem had turned out to be half the game they had hyped it to be, then, Bungie'd be getting run for their money.
Yeah, it's good.
But right now, they're the game in town, so...
Yeah, Warframe is the only thing, but Warframe doesn't have good PvP, right?
Yep.
Anyhow... All right, well, I think that'll go ahead and wrap us up here. We had a pretty lengthy discussion as we normally do. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here. Thank you so much, you guys, all the viewers, for tuning in for this. I know this is always a longer video. We always appreciate it. If you could drop us a sub, that would be fantastic. We're still a very small channel, and looking to grow is incredibly important to us. Word of mouth and sharing is also important to us as well. Drop us a like.
Sharing is caring.
Drop us a like and let us know in the comment section down below if there's anything to you that jumped out here that you want to talk about. Like I said, be respectful, be polite. But anyway, I think that'll wrap us up here. We're going to go kill some stuff in PvP. Bless your faces and deuces.
Oh my God.
Your hops.
Can we just have a discussion in front of Saint 14?
The Titan's having difficulty.